Introducing the Poet Life Podcast. Go check it out today on your favorite platforms, including iTunes, Apple Music, and the website, thepoetlife.com.
Find a way, find a way.
Peace, what's going on, everybody? It's tuned in to another episode of the Poet Life Podcast. I'm J. Rod D, my good brother Christoph Wrights. We're your co-host for the Poet Life Podcast. We have an amazing guest with us today. This is our second woman poet. She is a phenomenal artist, traveler, nomad, an athlete. We just found out. Just a Vessel 22 with Stephanie James. How you doing this evening?
I'm doing super well. Thank you all for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Good to have you here. Quick question. Tell us. No, go ahead, Christoph. Go ahead.
No, you go. No, you jump in.
That was a quick I guess. Tell us a little about yourself and how you started to become the poet that you are.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm originally from Colorado Springs, Colorado, and I started writing poetry in 2014. So I was like doing an internship at the bank. I was a teller. You couldn't sit down. And so I just started writing poetry. And my sister was like, that's actually pretty good. So I just kept writing just for fun, and then moved out to the East Coast, moved to the DMV area, and got on the scene. All the spoken word artists, make you want to hone your craft and stage and share your gift. And it just all kind of kept rolling from there, to be honest.
Okay.
Was there a trigger? Was there an inspiration, or was it a class, or what do you think it was? Do you remember?
No, I didn't have anything else to do, to be honest. Like, I worked at the bank. It was really slow. We couldn't read. We couldn't sit down. We couldn't do anything. So I just started writing. I was like, wow, okay, I really like this. And what I'm writing is pretty good. Like, it's actually, being good. When I would actually share it with people and vocalize it, people are like, wow, I really like that. Like, I resonate with that. So I just started writing poetry to like uplift people and inspire. Like my first poem was about basketball, which was my first love. I used to want to go to the WNBA. I played at Hampton and all that. So D1 basketball, and things happen the way they do. But basketball was definitely my first love before like poetry and song. Wow.
You and I have two things in common. I was born in Denver, Colorado.
Okay.
I didn't stay there long, but you went to Hampton, yes?
Yep, I went to Hampton.
And I went to Norfolk State.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll
757, right across the bridge. Yeah. So I see just the Vessel 22. What's the 22 for?
Yeah, so that was my number in my basketball number in college.
Okay. Yeah. So sounds like you were good.
They gave me $100,000 to go there, so I had to be all right. A little bit
Okay, yeah. Shoot. Hey, that's the amount of my student loan. So yeah, you were pretty good. Yeah. That's awesome.
College was a good time.
Mm-hmm. So being at HBCU, all three of his HBCU products. I know there's a heavy cultural scene when it comes to the Black arts. In college, what your exposure? Can you explain more about your exposure to poetry at college at Hampton?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would do a lot of shows like homecoming. We would have different. There was a show called Music Meets Fashion, and like students put it together, and they had people modeling like different outfits, and then I got to do like a poem on stage, like in between like models coming up on stage. So that was really fun. I did a lot of shows in college. When I wasn't playing basketball, I was doing poetry, right? At my church that I went to, like just always sharing poetry. And then Kariga, I don't know if you know Kariga Bailey. He actually, we went to Hampton at the same time. So yeah, so that you talk about exposure to poetry, like
that's what I want to get at. Did you know Kariga?
Yeah, so it was a good time. But yeah, just whatever event we could get on, I was in there.
So were you able to also travel as well, like in college 2014, like during the beginning years, genesis of your career, were you able to travel and get around outside of school as well, like maybe different states and different shows?
Not as much like during school,
Yeah.
right? Because basketball is everything
Yeah.
when you're in college. When you're playing Division I basketball, they pretty much own you. Like you work out, you go to school, you go to class, you lift weights, you go to practice, you play games. We did a lot of traveling to get to different events. The coolest thing that my coach used to do was that every female basketball player got to play in her hometown before she graduated. So regardless, and the cool thing about Hampton was that most people from Hampton aren't from Hampton.
Right.
So my team was from everywhere. So the coolest place we went, one of my best friends still to this day, she's from the Virgin Islands. So we played in St. Thomas for an event before she graduated. We played at the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs for me before I graduated. So it was kind of cool to like take the team to their hometown and allow their people to come and support them during college years, it was really cool.
Is that everywhere? Or your school did that? Do most teams do that?
No, it was just my coach's kind of gift to us. Like before every player graduates, they will get a chance to play a team in or near like their hometown, like where they're from. Yeah, it was cool. Yeah, I had like 55 people at the Air Academy signs, and the bus pulled up to my house. My stepdad.
Wow.
So it was really cool. The whole team's getting off the bus at my house. Like it was crazy.
Okay, Hampton. Okay. All right, I'll give you that one. Yeah. I like it. That's awesome. So let me ask you. Yeah. So why performance poetry? Why spoken word? Is it because you love the stage, or what drew you to that?
I do love the stage. So initially, like I said, I was just writing. When I moved to the DMV, spoken word was so prominent, and it was quite new to me. Like around 2013, I just started getting into it, really like speaking, and there's something about it. It never gets old to me. Like when you're on stage and you're spitting that piece, to have somebody come up to you afterwards and say, that really resonated with me tonight. I needed to hear that. And I love it because people take away different pieces where somebody might have resonated with this, stanza. Somebody else really dug this piece over here. So just having that impact on people, I've had people come up to me after like they've lost a loved one or some really heavy things, and just know that you're uplifting people. There's nothing like it. Like you can read my poetry, but to hear it is a different experience.
Yeah. You feel it then.
Right.
When did you start incorporating that voice?
Yeah. So I've been singing my whole life, actually. So kind of alongside basketball, alongside everything else, I've always been a singer. So I actually sang before I ever wrote a poem. I was singing in church, singing, my mom is that mom that's like, sing something for them. Come
right. All right.
Yeah. So I was singing forever. And then my best friend, still of 21 years, her dad worked for the city of Colorado Springs. So like any events, growing up, he would put me on stage to sing at all these different events. So it was kind of natural for me. Like when I do a poem, I'm incorporating a song as well. And that's kind of my style, like singing and poetry mixed together.
Beautiful. So you pretty much already have a poetic production in the bag. Just that's how you come with yours.
For sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Even beatboxing too. I used to do beatboxing when
Good Lord.
When you start with beatbox and you throw in some song, and you throw in people are like, okay, this is cool.
No, that's good because I'm sure there are some poets that can now say, oh, I'm actually good at this that I can incorporate into my poetry, whether it's a harmonica or whatever. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And have you seen that that you can kind of upgrade your price by saying that I'm not just a poet, but I'm a production?
I like that. I like that. I'll have to use that in the future.
No, for real.
Yeah, seriously. I'm with you. That makes perfect sense.
Indeed.
Question real quick too. You go ahead. You go ahead. You can finish your thought.
Oh no, go ahead.
Now I'm about to ask you a question too. So as far as your upbringing, because I'm big on like how that plays, like people's story. Your upbringing, being a singer, and then listen to your most recent pieces that I did hear. Like it's a lot of the uplifting, and encouraging piece. Would you say that is your style, to uplift? Like that's you feel that's your purpose as a poet, as an artist, to uplift and be that encouraging piece, coupled with the voice, making it a production. I guess in your own words, how would you describe, not necessarily your style, but I guess how you see your own lane?
Yeah, for sure. That's a good question. Yeah, I do. Like I am an inspirational poet. I do like to motivate and uplift. I have evolved as well, right? Like my earlier poems were more about like the word and stuff like that. And I still am a firm believer, but now it's more on, like, my most recent piece was about, what's going on in the world and addressing that, right? Because you have to use your platform to be heard. You have to use your platform wisely and to get things across to people that in a medium that they might not otherwise hear it. So yeah, it's definitely evolved over time, but I do find that they all are uplifting, inspirational. I got to open up for Common this year, and like before the world shut down, which was super dope. He was really cool. But that was for the Martin Luther King Day. And that was for, like, it was I Have a Dream was, the theme. And so that was very inspirational, but also very much like shaking people awake about what's happening with systemic injustice and things that we're experiencing now. So yeah, I can definitely say they all are inspirational, but it definitely has evolved over time for sure.
Okay. We just the other night, we had an interview with a gentleman named Sebastian Carson, and he's heavy into really just getting all of the meat off the bone. And what I mean by that, I mean you have a poem, and now it's not just a poem; it's a tool, and it's a service that you offer.
Yep.
Right. And so when he writes a poem, whether it's about depression, whether it's about social injustice, he then reaches out to different organizations that have that mission or that message and say, hey, this is what I have. Do you think this would work for your whatever event coming up? And so he plays offense. How did you get that gig with Common and that event?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's life is about who you know and who knows you, right? So I worked 8 consecutive years at Frito-Lay. It's actually an amazing story, really. So I worked for Frito for 8 years. When I left the organization, I was quitting my job. I wanted to stay and like work remotely, but it just wasn't progressive enough at that time for remote work. So when I was leaving, the divisional vice president said, you're making a major mistake. You're ruining your career. Your peers are going to pass you up. Like, this is not the right decision to make. But I was just so sad. I had gotten into this group where you go to a different country every month for a year. I went to 18 countries in 2017. Don't regret it at all.
Wow.
But also, he said, you're leaving this national platform and messing up your career, essentially. So fast forward to this year, that was a PepsiCo event. My friend from Frito-Lay said, we need a poet for the MLK speech. Come and check it out. He was actually at the event, my former boss. And so he says, are you back? I was like, oh, no, I'm not back or anything. So when I go on stage, they call me on stage, which I thought was amazing, to do what I love at your company. And I'm not working for you. I'm doing what I said I wanted to do. And your company's paying me to do that, but I don't work here. Right? And your audience and watching and listening to the piece. So it was nothing like it. It's nothing like it, actually.
Full circle.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Wow. So what did he say afterwards?
Oh, he loved it. I mean, everybody loved the piece. I wrote them specifically for the event. Super powerful, super on time for what was happening. And yeah, it was great. And not like smashing anybody's face, but it's just the principle of like, when you take that leap of faith, you are going to have people that are naysayers. You have to jump anyway. You have to get to a point where you're like, I'm going to make this leap anyways. And then when you're congratulating me when I'm there, I'll appreciate that too. But it was just cool to have, like you said, a full circle, and for him to see like I'm doing what I love, I'm doing well. You know.
Love it.
Yeah.
What was your role at Frito-Lay?
So I was promoted 4 times in 8 years. So it was all on the sales side. So district sales manager, I was his own business manager where I managed like $14 million. So I had the Washington, D.C. zone was my zone. So if you needed a paperclip all the way to you run your truck into CVS, like it's coming across my desk, anything that spent money at that point. And then I was a change associate, which was really fun. So it was like implementing all the changes in the company in 2016. And I flew 90 times domestically that year. Wow. Yeah. So I've been a lot of states too. I've been to 38 states as well.
So you were already traveling before you left to go travel.
Yeah, I've always loved it. And honestly, when it started, when it really started was in 2008. I had an internship with NBC Universal for the 2008 Summer Olympics in Beijing. And I don't know if you have been to China or been in Asia at all, but if you're a new traveler, like it's mind blowing.
It is.
Right. To go over there and just see a world that's completely different than your own. And that's when I really fell in love with traveling and just seeing things and opening up that horizon and just things that are different to what I've always known. So that was 2008. And then I came back and like worked for Frito. I went to Greece. I went to Italy, like here and there. And I just got to a point that I was like, I just want to do this nonstop. Like I want to do this consistently. And I have, yeah.
Gotcha. So you left Frito-Lay to travel.
Yeah.
To travel.
Yeah.
Got it. So what was your plan? I know you said that you worked with an organization to go to 18 countries within a year. But within that plan, was there a plan in relation to your art?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I launched my second album in 2016. I left the country January 2017. So I wanted to get that second album completed. And this was when I was like in that crazy job where I was traveling all the time. So it was like anytime I was here, I was in the studio, just going at it to get it done. So I launched it like December of 2016 and then left for Ecuador 2017 January with my product in my hand. So like I've carried my product to 38 countries. And it is amazing to like sell a CD to somebody who doesn't speak English and they just like your delivery. 2, to resonate with people who do speak English in another world, in another realm. Because it's one thing for your friends or your family or people that know you and love you to say like, yo, that was dope. I loved it. But to go to another place, a foreign land, and be so well received it's unparalleled. Yeah. It's unparalleled.
Yeah. Before we get fully into the travel part, so because you jump right into album number 2.
Yeah.
What year was album number 1? And what kind of album is it?
Yeah. So the first album is called My Heart's Beat. I released it in 2014. That's my baby, right? Because I worked really hard on it. And the cool thing is one of my coworkers at Frito-Lay produced it. Like he was just getting into producing. I was trying to get my first album done. We did it together, like our first project together.
Nice.
I released it at Warm Wednesdays in Baltimore, which was at the time the longest running open mic, right?
Yeah.
Walter Maxfield, he hosted, extended out to me, hey, come through if you want to do your release here, no problem. So I did my release at Warm Wednesdays. And then 2016 is Ember. And Ember is a small piece of coal that continues to burn in a dying fire. So it's like you're at your last, you can still reignite that flame. You can still rise, So that's Ember. So I'm working on album number 3. To be released, 2021. Okay.
All right. So now we're traveling.
Yeah.
we're in Ecuador, and but you not only that, you did it very smart,
Mm.
right? So you're vlogging along with your travels, and you're taking people with you, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And that's where can they find that? Like, where can they find your journey?
Yep. So justavesselpoetry.com, and that has all of my travel vlogs, all of my poetry videos. And I'll talk to you more about that. Like, I did 3 international poetry videos while I was abroad. My product with like the t-shirt, the apparel line that I started. If you want to get the album, all of that's on the website. So
awesome. Good stuff. Go ahead, Jay.
Quick question for you, because as you are growing and evolve as an artist, I know a lot of self-talk changes, you know what I'm saying, as you develop. What are some things that you had to keep telling yourself to keep going and get through these hurdles you had to get through to get to the stage that you are now?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I would say the biggest thing really was say what you want until you see what you said. That's like one of my favorite quotes that I say to myself, because you have to really believe. I mean, even people that don't necessarily mean to can sometimes be naysayers, like along your journey, just because they're concerned about you, they love you, things are uncertain. So you have to really say what you want until you see what you said, and really go after it unapologetically. Right. And so when I quit my job in 2017, I don't recommend this. Just let me put that out. But I didn't have another job lined up. And it's just that faith, like that leap of faith where you kind of get to a point where you're like, it's now or never. Right. Yeah. I sold my car. We rented out the place. You know, I literally I have 1 backpack and 1 suitcase that I've like traveled with for the last 3 years. And that's here comes the minimalism movement, right? Like, is it about stuff, or is it really about experiences? You know, so yeah, it was definitely a mind shift, and it was tough. I'm not going to say it was always easy and everything was great. Like, I was in Ecuador and Chile really looking for a job, like for the first 2 months. And then I got a remote job in Uruguay. Once I got to Uruguay, and then I've had remote work ever since then, thankfully. And then you also have to be open to expanding out, getting outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Right? So I was always in sales for 8 years. And so I went and got my TEFL so I could teach English. I've never used it, but I haven't. Right. Like, I was able to find remote work in sales, but if I ever needed to do something different, I did the TEFL. Even still in sales, but I just got my digital marketing certificate just in case. Like, I need to have stuff in my pocket just in case.
Yeah. You're gaining artillery,
right?
And skills. I moved after college. I moved to South Korea. South Korea for a year.
Okay.
I had the same feeling, you know, when I graduated from college, you know, moved back to DC, and I was just like, I got to get out of here. This was 2007, and in the middle of it was when the Great Recession hit. And, you know, I wasn't feeling it because I was over there, you know, and everybody was telling me about it. But, you know, I was enjoying life, man. I felt like I was just flying, you know, and while I was there, just out and about, because I was teaching English. I went there to teach English at an actual school, what they call a hagwon, where they teach English to children. But I had side gigs because when I would go to the bank, the CEO or the staffers would ask me to help them speak English. And they'll pay me on the side. And like, it was crazy, you know, because education and learning English is the #1 market over there. You know, if they don't learn English, it's but so far that they can go,
right? You
know, in business and whatever else. So I can definitely relate to that. When I got off that plane, I was like, okay, this is happening. This is happening, yo. You know, and that jet lag kicked in too.
It's crazy.
It is.
In Ecuador, I got really sick, and I think it was just like the change, like my body, like, whoa, hold on, you know,
right.
what's happening here? Yeah. So I was like, oh, I'm not going to make, like, that's probably the first time in my life, like, I really thought I was going to die. Like, I was really sick. Yeah. But it only lasted for like 3 days, but 3 days when you're not.
Only 3 days.
Right. You're really not feeling well. But after that, everything was smooth sailing. So we spent like 4 months in South America, 4 months in Europe, and then 4 months in Asia. So it was a nice ride.
Okay. All right. So where does the art come in with these travels?
Yeah, for sure. So anywhere I went, I was looking for events, and I performed in every country that I visited. And everybody was super friendly. It was not as hard as a lot of people think to get on stage, to make these relationships. And like I told you before, I did 3 international videos. So the way I did that was literally just reaching out on Facebook, seeing, what's the videographer in the area. I worked with a guy in Argentina on my first international video. And then I worked with a native Hungarian videographer in Budapest. And we became friends. We're still friends. She took me to the lake house and like amazing experience. And then the final video was in Ho Chi Minh in Vietnam. And it was actually recorded by a gentleman from France who lives in Ho Chi Minh and helps Vietnamese learn French. And but he speaks English, and we did the video together. And it yeah.
Wow. Where did you find the events? You said Facebook, right?
Yeah, Facebook, any way I could. Instagram, Facebook, reaching out. I would especially when I got to London, like I lived in London for 1.5 years. So like all of 2018, I was living in London. And I would just reach out to people that are in the area, and then it's like one person leads to another person, and then you finally get to that one that's kind of like the plug. Yeah. That's like if somebody popped up into DC and they're like, where do I find poetry? And they might get them to 1 or 2 people. They might tell them about busboys, and then somehow your name pops in, and you can connect them to every single poetry event in the city. So we're like kind of digging until I found that person that could connect me in that city that I was in.
Gotcha.
A lot of work for sure, but definitely always worth it, right?
Right. So have you found, because now you're obviously an international artist, have you found that you're able to, because you have such an extensive and unique resume, have you found that you're able to, again, getting back to the bag, the money, have you found that you've been able to now kind of boost your price up with showing them all of what you've done?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And I still keep it humble, right? Like if it's a volunteer, if it's poetry, I'm gonna be there, and like, whatever you can donate, that's perfect. That's great. But to ask, like if somebody that I know is reaching out and asking questions, I've performed in 38 countries. Like absolutely the price is gonna be higher.
Right.
And so it's kind of cool to see the growth of yourself, right? From doing stuff to get exposure all the way to what you're charging now, and being on that bigger stage that you prayed for, right?
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. I like it. Well, tell me, go ahead, Jay.
Now I say go ahead. I could probably fit it in as the conversation flows.
I was going to ask about your t-shirt line. When did you start that?
So this is super new. Last year, I started Same Shirt, Different Country, and Same Shirt DC is the handle that you can connect with me on. That's on my Instagram and my website as well, on Just the Vessel. But it's like, so we sell t-shirts, we sell tank tops and hoodies. We're going to launch a new one. It's coming soon for everything that's going on right now. So I can't give too much away, but for everything that's going on right now, we do have like a dope design, because obviously Same Shirt, Different Country, everybody's at home, right? So we have a couple ideas that we're working on that will be more applicable to 2020. But so I started it last year. Like I said, it's fairly new, but I'm super excited about it. I have a co-founder from Colombia. She's actually from the States, but we met in Medellin when I was living out there. And so like literally I was like, man, we should just have Same Shirt, Different Country. Like, we should put that on a shirt. And I was like, yeah, we should, you know. And it's really, if you see me on Instagram or anywhere, we're promoting it as the minimalism movement.
Right.
Because it's really about pushing people to, it doesn't matter like what you have on. You're in a different country. Like, what are your priorities? I'm not saying like don't be clean or presentable.
Right.
But, you know.
No, I understand.
I'm over here.
I'm familiar with the movement. Yeah, for sure. Like, you know, I'm not really a shoe guy. I used to be when I was younger, but you know, shoes $30, $40. I don't care. Like, you know, it's really, like you said, about you know, experiences and being able to afford experiences. If you're spending all your money on clothes, you know, and like you said, you're in a different country. They don't care that you got a Coogee or whatever brand shirt you have on. You know what I mean? You know, so I get it. That's good, and it's a conversation starter too. Yeah.
Yeah. So the motto is like pack less, travel more.
There you go.
There you go.
That's good. Jay, go ahead, Jay.
We actually got to it, the whole minimalism movement, as far as the philosophy as it relates to your art, because that is a question I want to start asking our guests. Do you prefer longer pieces or shorter pieces to get your message across?
Ooh, that's ooh. So when I first started, it was like they were super long, right? Like most, I think, newer poems, just kind of like spilling your whole heart. Like, let me read my whole diary for you, right? And then as you grow and start to evolve, you start to make things more concise, but more impactful. Like, it's gonna say what you want until you see what you said. Boom. Drop the mic, walk off the stage, right? So I think it's they used to be about 5 minutes, 5 to 5.5 minutes long. Now most of my poems are no more than 3. So what I'm saying is packing a punch, right? So because with the day and age that we're in, you're not gonna hold anybody's attention span. You could be killing it. You could be saying much, but after minute 2.5, they're probably checking Instagram or doing something else. So as I've evolved, learning how to kind of shorten it and make what I'm saying more impactful and take out some of that fluff. That's just, you know, is it really necessary?
Yeah. So what have you learned in relation to performing in other countries? Like, what's the difference? How have you had to change your performance? You know, like, how do you read your crowd in another country?
It's similar, right? Like, energy is energy, regardless of where you are. People are actually super, super supportive, super nice. It really is making sure that one, that it's okay, right? Like, is it okay to get on stage? Or am I going to be welcome here? Like, I've done like hopped up on a stage in Prague, just random, like, you know, but I felt the energy. They were like, yeah, come up, you know, hopped on a stage in Thailand, started singing and doing pieces with the guys. And I think the craziest thing was in Vietnam, there's like a backpacker road, and I had no idea, but like this gentleman, he like hosts a karaoke every like weekend on tourist like backpacker road, and there's like seats outside on the street. Everybody's having a good time. Apparently he's like famous in Vietnam, and I didn't know. I just was like, hey, can I get on the mic? So he's like, yeah, go ahead. So we start beatboxing and singing, and the crowd is going crazy.
Right.
And we had like 500,000 views on YouTube because he was famous in Vietnam. I was like, oh, that's amazing. So really it's energy. Anywhere you are, like, just if you feel like it's a warm environment, perfect. If you don't, just keep it moving and find something that's gonna welcome you, you know, better. But I haven't had any like really negative experiences, to be honest, like performing abroad. The only tough thing sometimes is like people can't speak English. And so it does make me like I am practicing Spanish. My Spanish is pretty good. Like most of the countries that I've been in, like Spanish countries, I can get around, you know. I do want to like learn some of my poems in Spanish. I think that would be like next level. Yeah.
At the very least, incorporate some into some of the pieces that you already have. Yeah. Yeah. That's good. To kind of tie them in and make them feel comfortable with your performance. Yeah. That's good.
And then it's just finding familiarity to where you are. So like one of my friends in Medellin, and he passed away this year, like rest in peace. And
wow.
Set me up with the event in Medellin. Like it was, I think, the 4th of July. It was for expats. So it seems to a lot of us, it seems foreign, like that we're traveling. But in my circle of friends, it's quite common that everyone's running around the world.
Right.
I have friends all over the world right now, and it's nothing for me to say, "What's up?" Oh, I'm going to Egypt tomorrow. Okay, like that's cool.
Right.
So there's also expat communities in each of these locations where you can connect with like-minded people, connect with English speakers, and also work with them as well.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna do an open mic event in Chiang Mai or in Medellin, or so he set me up with that. And so it's just honestly everything involves with people and networking and building a strong network like around yourself.
Yeah. So your network is crazy right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let me ask you. So, I remember when I came back from Seoul, from South Korea, it was just, first of all, when I came back, it was in the dead center of the recession and I couldn't find a job to save my life. My goal was to head back and just, be across the country, across the world, I mean. And, but then, I met my then, my now wife, and so, kids and all that good stuff. And so, like, we're kind of just like waiting for our kids to get older and go old enough so we could just go back. You know what I'm saying? And how does it feel? Because you've been traveling for how many years now?
3.
3. Like straight for the most part. Just
well, I kind of paused. So like
2017,
I went to 18 countries.
Right.
And then, I lived in London like for a year. Like 2018, I lived in London. And then 2019 was back. I was like Spain, Morocco, Portugal, Colombia, Mexico, like, Scotland, Barcelona, like running around again, Amsterdam. Right. But, and then this year, of course, I was headed to like Peru. I wanted to go to Estonia and Lithuania, which are like developing digital nomad cities to note. So like there's a lot that are very popular. Medellin is very popular now. Chiang Mai is very popular. Split, Croatia is very popular. Like when you're in the community, there are certain locations that everybody gets to. So I wanted to start touching like Estonia and Georgia and Lithuania and some of the ones that are a little bit more off the beaten path. Because as a seasoned traveler, now I know like how to make my own accommodations, how to be safe.
Yeah.
What to look, and even traveling solo, like I know what to look for, where to be, how to get there, all those things. So that's what I was going to do this year, and then also get more to the motherland, right? Of course, like, I wanted to go to Ghana, and like I've been to Morocco, which they don't even count. Like if you tell somebody that,
what do you mean?
Yeah, if they ask you like, have you been to Africa, and you say you've been in Morocco, they're like roll their eyes, because to them it's like it's the northernmost point of Africa, so it's more like an extension of Europe for them. Literally, like right next to the Canary Islands of Spain. So for them, they're like it's in our continent, but
right,
like Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, like so, I want to get to South Africa and all these places. I want to go everywhere, and that's my problem. I want to go everywhere.
So how does it feel being, I don't want to say stuck, but like, bound?
You can say stuck.
How does it feel? Because when I got home, I was like, oh man, I love my now wife, but I want to go.
Yeah.
So how does it feel?
It's actually all right. So my sister and I were born on the same day. We're 2 years apart, which is my favorite person in the world. So I'm stuck with her. So it's like the very best scenario that I could ever ask for, like to be with my sister. And then even in 2017, I didn't come home like the whole year. And so I vowed that I wouldn't do that again. So like 2018, I lived in London, but I came home 3 times. 2019, I came home 3 times. And just to make, because my family is really important to me as well. And my parents are in Colorado, my sister's in Virginia. So yeah, but to answer your question, like I've just taken it in stride, right? It is what it is. We are here. I'm enjoying family time this year. I took a road trip already to Colorado. She and I drove 26 hours to Colorado, and 26 hours back from Colorado. I have some friends in Atlanta. I've stopped in Indiana, Ohio, St. Louis. So like this year, I'm not doing anything. Like all the places are closed, but it's like having time to like travel, see friends and family. It's just a family time. And then, like I told you, I was doing my digital marketing course for like the last 4 months or so. So it's like staying busy, staying productive, right? I'm revamping my website, growing my Instagram, getting my digital marketing certification. I still work. I work 40 hours. People don't think that because they just see all the fun places I am all the time. But I do have to fund those. Yeah, I work 40 hours a week, just like, but I've just been working remotely for 3.5 years. So
what's your role now? What do you said IT, right?
So I'm in sales, for a tech company. Yeah, so it's like an online tech boot camp where we help people like accelerate their tech career. So if they're doing something different and they want to get into tech, they could come to our boot camp, take a course, and then change the trajectory of their career. Like we set them up with a career coach after, and they help them like find placement. So it's been really cool. Keeps me busy. It's fun. I can work anywhere in the world and do it as long as I have Wi-Fi, and
beautiful.
I can't complain.
Yeah. So your job knows what you do as far as traveling and all of that. So they've greenlit everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So how did you? So obviously it was intentional. You wanted to find a job remotely.
Absolutely.
To help you and allow you to continue to travel. And so I would imagine with COVID right now that there are a plethora of remote positions out there because companies still got to keep moving and working, right? And so how can a poet become an international poet and do what you're doing?
Yeah, it's really figuring out what you want to do in addition.
Yeah.
If you don't feel like, okay, if you don't have like a publicist that's putting you on and getting you enough money that you need to be where you are, especially in Europe, right? Like the euro is higher than the dollar. If you go to London, that's the pound. The pound is almost 2 times the dollar, right? So Tokyo is the yen. That's really up there. So you need to make money. You need to make substantial money. You also want to be saving while you're doing all this and having fun. I'm super huge on like savings and no debt and all of that as well. But it's finding the skill, excuse me. So like determining what you want to do. 1, what do you want to do? How are you going to do it? 2, like if you want to work remotely, that's fine. But what are your skill sets then? Sales, are you good at this? And if you're not good at anything except physical positions, then you need to get a skill that's going to allow you to do a remote job.
Good.
Right?
Good.
And once you get your remote job, the sky is the limit. As long as you have Wi-Fi, you can work anywhere. And there's so many people doing it. And then even people that don't prefer working for somebody else, that's fine. You can learn digital marketing, and then bring on social media clients, help grow their social media, help revamp their website. So, I mean, there's so many different avenues that people can take to do what they love and still eat, you know what I'm saying? And be comfortable. Yeah.
What gave you that strength to not listen to your boss? But I'm sure that you got it from friends and family too.
Yes. I mean, my friends and family were super supportive because they knew I was going to do it anyway. So it's like,
so you might as well get on board.
Get on board. Like you can come. My sister came to Ecuador and Argentina. My mom came to Thailand to visit. So like I didn't come home that year, but they came like and visited and stuff like that in 2017. But I mean, the strength is there's something in you. There's something in you. Like people tell me, I would love to do what you do. I would love. How do you? No, you don't. You don't want to. No, you don't. Because if you really wanted to, you would figure out the how. Like there's too many people doing it. But you can't be one of them.
Yeah.
Period. And then now the other thing too to know is that people see my Instagram now and they hear my story now, and not realize like I did work for a Fortune 50 company for 8 consecutive years. And I did save during that time. I did put aside to be comfortable to take that leap. So you have to plan. It wasn't like I just woke up or just graduated from college and said, I'm going to go travel the world for 3.5 years, right? Like there was preparation. So you're going to take that leap, but you got to look down. You got to calculate how deep it is. Can you make the landing? Like prepare for that jump.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where people don't catch that.
Right.
You know, they know they felt the Lord tell them something.
Right.
But they didn't hear the part where, well, I need you to prepare. I need you to prepare first, you know. Yeah, that's good. You know, I just really want people to see, you know, because most times you can't do what you don't see. You can't be what you don't see. Right. And so that's why we bring people on that are actually doing it and have done it and can tell the story. You know, we don't, you know, if there's a person that's doing something and they're not willing to explain it, you know, we don't, you're not getting that invite.
Right. If you
know
can't
what I'm saying?
How, the why behind the what and the how as well. But yeah, it's a lot. It takes a lot of preparation and a lot of sacrifice, right? Yeah, like someone said, oh, do what you do. And I was like, okay, let's talk about it. Yeah, I can get you on in my company. I'll tell you, you only have 3 pairs of shoes. I can't live without my Jordans and all. And then all this stuff starts unraveling and like, you know, you might have to eat different food when you're over there. They don't have this. I don't think I can make it without that type of cereal. And you're like, do you really? Because one thing about vacationing and there's another person that actually travels. Those are very different people. There's nothing wrong with people that vacation.
Right.
If you want to go on a cruise and relax and get away and unwind, that is fine.
Yeah.
I want to go and live and grocery shop there and meet the locals and get into their art scene. And I want to live there. I want to experience a place. And there's, like I said, there's nothing wrong with being a person that vacations. Even amongst my friends, there's differences. I have friends that live in a van and I couldn't do it because I like to shower all the time. Right? There's friends that stay in hostels to like have lower. I've stayed in some hostels before, but like before, no, I'm not staying in a lot of hostels. Like I want a nice Airbnb that is mine, that is safe, that, you know, so everybody kind of gets into, one of my friends likes to stay places for a year. So I go for like a month, 2 months, and stay for a year because she really wants to
get it. Yeah.
So everybody is different and everybody, you know, kind of, you can figure out where your groove is. There's families that travel. People travel with their children. You see them backpacking and they got the kids strapped on, and you know, sometimes that's a myth. Like we have to wait for 20 years until our kids are gone, and then you're trying to climb up the caldera in Greece holding your back because you waited for 20 years. You know what I mean? Like kids can travel too. Kids can, or they can stay with auntie until you like and have that experience. So there's so many ways now to do so much that like no excuse. If you really want to do it, what are you doing about it? Right.
Yeah. So what has your new mindset? What has your traveling done for your pen? Yeah, it's definitely, like I said, it's definitely changed. And it's really cool because while I'm also performing in other countries, I'm taking in. Right. Like there's amazing poets in London. I've been all around the States. I've been all around the world. And I would say like the DMV in Baltimore is still really high up on like talent and just pure like amazingness in this area. London is right there. Like London is level from a talent perspective with artists. And so just taking in and then also seeing different styles, right? Because, you know, sometimes you'll hear one poet and then another poet sounds kind of like them or they have that similar cadence. But when you go to like Ireland and you go to London and you hear these different cadence and different terms even. We all speak English, but I don't say massive or like chestnut, you know, different terms. So yeah, it does widen your horizons. It gives you different ideas on like how you can approach it. Like I'm really excited to see what's birthed like in album 3. I have some tracks written. I have 5 tracks written so far.
But it definitely, you can see the evolution of Just a Vessel from 2014 to 2021,
Yeah.
20, yeah.
Are you incorporating any of your colleagues from here and there?
Not yet, but I would. Yeah. Like I said, I still have a couple more tracks to do, and I definitely would. Like, I've met some really amazing talent around the world. There's one gal in Italy. Her name is Matiska, and she's an amazing artist. Like, you name it. She's like tapping the tambourine, playing the piano, moves over, gets the bass, singing, you name it, right? And just all over Italy. And so, for a while I was doing the artist connection. I don't do it anymore. I still help poets, like if they want to travel. And it was really to bridge the gap, to show poets that it's not difficult. It's not as difficult as you think to perform internationally. And so I helped a London poet. His name was Ro. I helped him perform in 9 cities. I booked him 25 shows in 9 cities in the States. And for him, that was big because he's from London. So he's performing internationally when he comes here. And it was all about connections. It was literally me hitting up friends and saying, hey, I've got a friend from London. And he paid me for that because during that time I was like consulting people on how to book gigs internationally. So that was pretty cool. I stopped doing it because I just felt like I didn't know, I couldn't promise audience. I can get you on the stage. I know what shows are going on. I have friends in these locations. I cannot guarantee that the audience is going to be where you want it to be. And I can't guarantee that if it's an unpaid gig that you're going to be bought out with your product. And so, he wanted it for exposure. So it worked, but I couldn't figure out how to make it like a model just yet when it comes to like guaranteeing an audience every single time in every single place.
Got it.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Jay, you got something?
You still who?
So, what had happened? No, I work out probably about 6 days a week. Like mental health, mental, physical, spiritual health is all very important to me. So I work out 6 days a week, but I don't play basketball as much. Now, if I go on the court, it's gonna happen. Like, the muscle memory is there. But no, I don't play as frequently as I used to. No.
Okay. Where did you get your name from?
It's I've had it myself forever now. It feels like forever. And I guess, I don't know, I just came up with it one day. I was like, I'm just the vessel he uses. Like, no more, no less. I'm just the vessel, Yeah. I don't even know when it happened now. Like, I'm getting old, I guess.
Did you find any churches out there?
Yeah, that's funny you asked. I went to, so everywhere you go is a different experience, right? So in Bali, when I lived in Bali, they're Hindu. So they burn incense 5 times a day to their gods. And I didn't like get involved with it, but I just really respected it. So anytime, you see them out there burning incense or anything, you just say a prayer, you kind of touch and agree with them. And then they have like this pyramids of chi. So it's a sound room. So you go into this pyramid and it's like completely pitch black. And he's like, there's sound going on. So they're hitting the gongs, they're hitting the drums. And I fell asleep. Like, it's so crazy that you just like fall asleep. You're in kind of like REM trance type of sleep. But they're very they practice a lot of like mindfulness out there. So a lot of that in Asia, they don't really have a ton of Christian locations to go. So I'm sure like being in Korea, but I mean Korea probably has a lot of
Christianity is pretty heavy in
But like in Thailand, no. In Bali, no. Vietnam, not really.
Yeah.
I was in Tokyo as well, which is not. And then when I lived in Budapest, I was actually going to a Catholic church. I went to like this basilica, and there was a priest from Africa. And Africa is a continent I do know. I don't remember what country in Africa he was from, but he was the preacher or the priest in that Catholic church. So that was really cool. And then let me think. Yeah, I've definitely gone like to different worship experiences around the world, and that widens your horizons as well.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Some of the most beautiful people that you've met don't look like you anymore. And that does something to your psyche and to what you've always been told is wrong or right. It does something to you when you see so many beautiful people that don't look like you.
Yeah. Yeah. And don't praise like you, or don't praise the same God like you. Yeah, definitely, for sure. Yeah. Did you find yourself finding like an online church, or what did that look like for you? How did you kind of stay centered in your faith?
Yeah, so for me, like I said, it's a lot of mindfulness, a lot of meditation, and like yoga, and getting into all those things, and then practicing that physical, like just physically working out helps me kind of stay centered in general, regardless of where I am.
Right.
And then too, I go to Kingdom Fellowship. Used to be Reed Temple AME. I was the church poet at Reed Temple while I was living here, which is a big deal, right? That's like 10,000 members that you're sharing with. So that was like a big stage for me when I first started. But yeah, so they have an online ministry. They changed the name to Kingdom Fellowship AME now. And so I'll tune into, like when I'm traveling and stuff, I'll sometimes tune into Kingdom Fellowship as well. Yeah.
Okay.
And, I did a COVID poem for them this Easter, for Easter. Resurrection Sunday / kind of Corona poem for them. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So how and we can close it out real soon, but I want to ask you, how did you, or how have you been able to like pivot, because you were about to ship off somewhere, and so how did you pivot and keep your art, keep your poetry career flowing and going?
Yeah, it's really just not resting on your loins, to be honest. I mean, when you get there, like, okay, if you're somewhere for a month, it sounds like a long time, but it's not. Like the moment I land, I know where the nearest metro, bus station, grocery store, gym, and then start looking at events going on in my area, start connecting with people in and around the city. Like you have to do all of that stuff quickly. You can't get there and lollygag and walk around, and because you're gonna look up and 2 weeks have passed and you got 2 weeks left, and you're not gonna make any significant connections in that time. So it's really like staying diligent, being open to opportunities. I've had so many opportunities happen that I didn't even know. Even like my friend in Medellin that I mentioned, we were just having breakfast, and he was like, "We should do a gig here. We should do a show in Colombia for the Afro-Colombians." Okay, yeah, let's do it, right? So it's really about making those connections early and quick. And then you say pivoting, like pivoting is a traveler's name, right? Because that flight gets delayed. Nothing ever works exactly how you think it's gonna work. Maybe this airport is different. They move slow in this country, so you miss the bus. So many things happen all the time. So like as a traveler, you have to be able to pivot, to go with the flow, to handle a change when it happens, and smile still.
Yeah.
And grateful for the present moment. Whatever that present moment looks like, you have to learn how to be grateful for the present moment.
Gotcha. Where do you see yourself from here?
I mean, are you saying like in travel, just in general?
Like your trajectory as far as just the vessel, I know like because of COVID, it kind of altered some things, you know what I mean? But with it here, because it is reality, how do you see yourself moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna take it all in stride. I've had a good time thus far, like spending time with family and friends, taking my road trips. Like I don't get to drive a lot when I'm overseas. I'm always on public transit. So I love driving. There's no better feeling than windows down, music up, riding out, mask off.
Right.
So just taking it in stride, really. Like, yeah, I definitely want to continue my travels once I can. I'm also a seasoned traveler, and I'm not going to be the first person on a flight when things open up, because you have to be mindful that a lot of these economies rely heavily on tourism. So they haven't seen tourists for 6+ months. So when they see tourists, they may be very aggressive. They may be, look at Jay. He's like, yeah, so you have to be mindful about these things. Like, yeah, I want to travel just as bad as the next person, but you have to be very mindful about where you're going, how tourism affected their economy. Think about it when you go on vacation, all these places you've been, all the booths and entrepreneurs that you meet. These people have not been able to eat or haven't had the supplemental support for 7 months. I don't want to be the first tourist that they see when I'm, back out there. Also, being an American, we're leading the world in cases. It's not as cool like back in the day. It was really cool to say you were an American. It's not received as well right now because of the state of our country. It's not received as well right now because our leader in this, right? So you do have to be quite mindful. So yeah, as bad as I want to get back out there, I'm definitely going to be smart about it, and I would admonish everybody else to do the same and just do your research. Know where you're staying, know where you're going, go with the group. Like, some of the things that you're going to have to take until the world settles down again. So for me, taking all this stride, continuing to learn and grow. I got the digital marketing certificate. Maybe I'll do another course. I've been reading. I got Audible. I'm doing it all.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. You're encapsulating your passion for travel and your art. And you're doing what it takes to keep that rolling without any interruptions.
For sure.
I can appreciate
that. Like, once again, being grateful for the present moment. You couldn't have told me a year ago that I couldn't go anywhere I wanted to go, whenever I wanted to go. No way would I have believed you. And then no way would I have ever believed that the United States would be blacklisted in Europe. That 30, 40 other countries residents can walk into Europe, and the U.S. is not one of them. So, like, it's interesting times right now that we're living in. But I'm grateful that I've been to 38 countries. I look forward to going to more. But right now, I'm okay with sitting still and just working on myself. And I'm gonna be like when the time comes for me to get back out there again.
Album number 3, when is it dropping? Do you know?
I don't have a definitive date, but definitely I'm going to say 2021, and 2021 for sure. And of course, I'll put it on the website, my Instagram, all of the places once I have a more definitive timeline for it. But yeah, definitely working on it though.
Well, when it does drop, we want you to come back to the Poet Life podcast.
All right.
In the meantime, everybody go to justavesselpoetry.com. Do it now. If not just for the art, her journey, and study what she's doing and figure out how you can do it as well. That's what we're doing this podcast for. We bring people on that will share their journey, their information, and give it to you. And that's what this platform is for, man. Just a vessel, man. I've been waiting on this conversation for a good while, so I was really, really excited when you agreed, and you brought it. The information is here now, and I believe on August 10th, this episode will have already been dropped, and 4 days later, August 14th is that Friday of the same week where the Poet Life Masterclass with Just a Vessel. So you'll be able to go to thepoetlife.com and register for that class. We'll make sure that is ready by the end of this weekend, so you can register for that class where she can go into even deeper context to how she's done what she's done, how you can do it, the different resources she's used, what she's using right now, what she's doing during this COVID period to keep things moving, the different classes she's taken to insulate her desire for travel, because that's key. J. Rod D, go ahead, jump in, man.
At this point, I'm like stuck on some of the last things you said, as far as just what led you to do what you do, and then what's keeping you in like proper maintenance, right? Like keeping that thing going. So I have a lot to like look forward to this week, because like with each guest I always reflect over the episode and look back at things I wrote down and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to going over this with some of my friends too, because we've been talking about traveling and getting out just outside of the States. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know that Europe has blacklisted though.
I didn't know that
COVID,
either.
correct?
Yeah. Just right now, I'm sure that's gonna lift. Like that's definitely gonna lift. But right now, like we can't go.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right now, while we're being dumb about things,
right,
we're not allowed to go in.
And I respect that decision, right? Because until we get it under control, they've gotten theirs under control. They were very strict. They were more strict than us. They were more obedient with like following the rules. And so they've got it under control. So they're like, until you guys can get it together, you can't come. And that's
you're in timeout.
Yeah, I understand that.
Like it originated, and they're not even. They're like, no.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Last question I have for you. What are you reading currently?
Yeah, so I just finished. What did I just finish? Grit. I just finished Grit. And it's really it's just about digging in and what it takes to keep moving.
Okay. In
spite of, right? Because life is gonna throw you some punches. It's gonna throw you a lot of hits, but how do you get back up? How do you still thrive after that? So I just finished Grit. I've read Indistractable, which is major key here, and with everything happening, like how do you keep your inner peace with so much chaos going around? And you don't want to feel guilty for not post everything posted being Black Lives Matter. Like, yes, you do care. Do you want to be the angry Black person every day, or do you still Black joy is still a form of resistance? Smile today. You know what I mean? Because it is heavy. I'm not saying not to feel it, but it is super heavy. So it's like, how do you maintain that inner peace? Indistractable, Grit, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
I remember. I heard that book. I think I have that book. Yeah, I haven't read it yet.
It's a really good book. Especially for somebody that's like really that you care so much about a lot. It's a good book to just pick up sometimes and go, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna relax on that. So those are a couple. And the one I want to read in September is coming out. It's called Think Like a Monk. It's by Jay Shetty. He used to be a monk, and now he's an inspirational speaker. In the book, and I'm very just along the same lines we were talking about, like learning from people that don't look like you. Definitely interested to hear. I think monks are so interesting and so disciplined. So I'm really excited about reading that book as well.
That's dope. That's lit.
That's awesome. If you could leave something for the people, what would you say?
Say what you want. Until you see what you said.
That's beautiful. That's perfect.
See what you said.
It's speaking things into existence. Period. In a nutshell, but just said much better.
Sometimes you got that poetic flavor. Somebody else can add that super sauce to it.
Yeah, that's good. Justin Vessel, thank you so much. We really appreciate you carving out some time to spend with us. We will definitely have you back on when album number 3. You have a title for it?
Not yet.
Okay. All right, cool. So you definitely got to come on. So thank you again, everybody. It's the Poet Life Podcast. Go to thepoetlife.com. If you want some gear, go to poetlifegear.com. We're doing a whole lot. We just want to stay connected with you. We want to show you how to build this poetry industry, but also uplift the poetry community. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. Subscribe to our YouTube page. It's the Poet Life Podcast. Y'all have a good night.
All right now.
Thanks so much.
Introducing the Poet Life Podcast. Go check it out today on your favorite platforms, including iTunes, Apple Music, and the website, thepoetlife.com.
Find a way. Find a way.